We're going to continue 1-2 today talking about line segments and distance. So for my class, this is part 2 of the 1-2 notes we've been taking. You can just take them in the same spot that you took part 1 of 1-2 notes. Obviously, I put the date there. We're going to jump right in. So what we're looking at today is finding the distance, all right, between 2 points. That could look a little differently. That might be on a number line. And to be honest, that could be horizontal or it could be on a vertical line. And we just count the distance between the points, right? And then, and probably something that you're pretty familiar with, looking at this graph over here, is that looks like a line with positive slope. We're going to find the distance between 2 points on a line or of a line segment that has positive or negative slope and be able to do that. And we're going to use the distance formula, which probably not new to you, but I'll kind of walk you through it. All right, the textbook teaches when you're doing distance on a number line to take the absolute value of the 2 points and you subtract that value. Now, what that leads to, and if you'll remember the absolute value of a distance, it measures, okay, positively. Even if you get a negative answer in here, when you take the absolute value of that answer, it's going to be a positive answer. Jump down here to example 1. They want us to find the segment AB. So that's from A to B. Now you can see what the book does. They take the first ordered pair, -4, and they subtract from it 2, which is where point B is. I said ordered pair, I just meant point. Okay, where 2 is, they did the math. -4 minus 2 is -6. We're taking the absolute value. How far away is -6 from where we originate, which is at 0? It is 6 units. Now, I'm not really expecting you to do that, especially if you're not great with absolute value. We can go old school, common sense way. How far is it from A to B? Well, let's count. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units away. I don't care how you do it. That should be easy. Not a whole lot of work to show there. Okay? And I mean, we could go down through here. You look in the exercises part of this assignment right here. Look at the exercises. Like number 1, it says use the number line to find the measure. So from B to D. Now you got to be able to look at your table and go, well, if they're counting by 2s, I know that every other one is an odd number, and I'd go to B and go to D and count and go. That's kind of how those 8 would work. I'm not going to show you those. You should be able to do that on your assignment and be okay. All right, what I want to show you, and I'm actually going to flip it to the back to do that, is how to find the distance between a pair of points. So I've already done the work up here, but I want to show you how we set it up, and then I'm going to do a different example. So in this example, we had the distance between these points. I guess you could draw it and see if it was, a horizontal or vertical line, but the bottom line is your X's don't match up and your Y's don't match up. So we don't have something that matches up there, so it's not going to be horizontal and it's not going to be vertical. So just kind of counting it out doesn't work. When you have 2 ordered pair, I think the best way, and it's really not too hard to do, is use the distance formula. Okay, so that's all the way back up here, but they also wrote it right here. All right, distance is the square root of x2 minus x1, close parentheses, squared, plus the same thing for the y's, y2 minus y1 squared. Now, what I like to do is take my ordered pair and label which ones are the x's and the y's, which one is x1, which one's y1, and then just go plug it in. I generally do the first set, or the first ordered pair is my x1 and my y1. The second ordered pair is my x2 and my y2. And you can kind of see, you can pause this and see, it got a little sloppy here because I had minus and negative, and I turned that into a positive, and I ran out of room. So I'm going to do a different one. I'm going to flip it over on the back and do it. So if you'll look down at kind of down here, we're talking about these starting at number 9. I'm going to go to the back, and I'm going to do number 11, okay, this M and N one right here. Nope, I don't have room. Let me get another sheet of paper. Forgot there was something on there. All right, I'm going to go right here. I'm going to do number 11 from that assignment. So here's what it said. It said point M was at 1, -2. All right, and point N is at 913. So it's kind of what we got going on, and we need to find the distance. That's all the instructions say. Find the distance between the 2 points. Now I'm going to write the formula again so you have it. So here we go. Distance equals big square root sign, open parentheses, x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. All right? Formula should be good. Let's go label our points. Since M is up there first, I'm going to label these first. So there's my X1, there's my Y1. Wherever I pull X1, I've got to pull Y1 from. So I'm going to call this X2 and Y2. To be honest, you could call this X2, Y2, and this one X1, Y1, as long as X1 and Y1 are together. and x2 and y2 are together. All right, here we go. Let's plug it in. So here's how it works. The formula says square root of, open parentheses, x2. Well, what did we say our x2 was in this one? It's a 9. Then the formula says minus, so I'll put my minus sign. Then it says to plug in x1. What is my x1? 1. Close it, square it. All right, about to do it again. My formula says put a plus sign in between, and then here we go. Y2, go look at Y2. We labeled it as 13. Minus, and here we go. I got Y1 is -2. Close it, square it. And again, if you need to extend the square root thing, you can. Yeah, I got a little something funky with the minus negative there. We'll do it, but we're going to keep going. So now it's order of operations. We do the work underneath or inside of our radical because that's how kind of parentheses works. That's how order of operations works. Go in there and then look at PEMDAS. Well, PEMDAS says, hey, do the math in the parentheses. Well, we can do that. I can look at this parenthesis. Can I do 9 minus 1? Absolutely. 9 minus 1 is 8. We've done that math. There's really nothing else in there. I don't need the parenthesis anymore. But I do have to remember that this 8 is squared. Okay, my formula says plus, so I'm going to plus right here. Now here, just a quick reminder, I have 13 minus -2. If you were doing it in a calculator or in Desmos that we like to use, you can just leave it like that. Let's go ahead and review what's going on here. I think you probably remember, if I have minus a negative number, and that's what you saw on the front page, I turn that into a plus. Minus -2 means plus 2. So 13 plus 2 is 15. Right? And then what do I have to do to that 15? I have to square it. How are we doing? Well, hanging on? All right. Let's keep going. Keep doing the math. Next part of PEMDAS, we did the parentheses. Now look at exponents. So I still have my square root going on. I've got 8 squared, which is 64. All right? Then I'm going to go get my phone calculator out to double check that I'm right. I think I know what 15 squared is. But remember what 15 squared means. It means 15 times 15. Remember what 8 squared means. It means 8 times 8. So I do 15 times 15, and I get 225. That's what I thought it was, wanted to be sure. Okay? Well, now what's my next PEMDAS step? I got to go add these. I've still got my square root going on. We hadn't gotten to take the square root of it yet. So I go to the calculator. 64 plus 225 equals, I get 289. All right? How we doing? We managing that? All right? So then, to finish this thing up, all right, we've got to go in. And again, if you're using Desmos or if you're using whatever type of calculator that you're using, being on your phone, it's a little bit tricky, all right. But we've got to be able to set this up and then finish the math. So we can go in and we can take the square root of 289, all right. Whether you're doing that in Desmos or on a TI calculator, we find that that is 17. Real nice, easy answer right there. So the distance between our 2 points, points M and N, measured to 17 units, whatever it was that we were counting. All right. Your assignment for my guys now is to finish up the rest of that 1-2 skills that you got going on. When you do that, and I'm going to give you an example. I think one of the problems on that 1-2 skills, so we're going to do 1-2. Whoa, you want to see it? Skills. All right. We're going to go finish the rest of them today. Remember, I had signed with the first part of 1-2, I had assigned 1 through 10. We're going to talk about rounding. So one of the answers ends up being like 2.236, and it keeps going. My general rule is we're going to round to 2 decimal places because that's kind of how we do it in life. So we're going to round to 2 decimal places unless the directions say otherwise. So for us, that means we need to round right there. Yes? Well, if I just go right 2.23, I didn't do a very good job of rounding because I'm looking for a specific answer. So remember how this works. I'm going to look past where I'm rounding. So if I'm rounding to the nearest hundredth or the second place, I got to look at the third place. If that number is 5 or more, what do I have to do to this number? Yeah, we got to take it up. So to round this correctly would actually be 2.24, and that would be the answer that I would want. All right. The one tricky thing to me in rounding is if you get numbers, and again, I'm going to kind of use what we just had, but I'm going to take it out a little bit. All right, blah, blah, blah. Let's say I had that same thing, but I had another place, and I wanted to round it right there to the 1,000th or to the third decimal place. Well, obviously, I can take that up, and that becomes a 7. Well, when that becomes a 7, some people go, oh, well, that's a 7, so I can round this up to a 4. Well, in theory, we might get a number that we just kind of keep rounding forever. That's not what I want. When you round to the next spot. All right, but let's say, and I'm going to, again, make this up. Let's say I'm rounding to the nearest hundredth, But I go right here, I've got to round up the 9 because that's a 7. Well, obviously, that's going to become a 0. What's this going to become? That's going to become a 3. Like this is going to round up to 2.3 or 2.30. That's not rounding twice. We still only rounded one time, so you got to understand how that works. That's a quick rundown of that. I'll be posting this on Canvas. Look on there, see what your assignments are, see what's due. You should be able to use these notes to help you. Thanks.